Dumelang Sanbonani, hello, hi. Today, as we wrap up our Women's Month series, we're talking to women who are making change, women in leadership, women who have taken upon themselves to become part of the solution for South Africa. In studio, I have the woman who needs no introduction. Her name is Ayanda Allie. She is the current member of Gauteng Provincial Legislature. She used to be the minister's spokesperson, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula's spokesperson. She's also the former broadcaster. She's been on 702 Power FM. And yes, the woman, there's a lot here. She founded Bukobame Youth Center in Dobsonville 8 years ago. She's a singer, she's a writer, a broadcaster. She's everything you want her to be. Ayanda, good morning. Dumela. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. Always good to speak to you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for a beautiful introduction. It doesn't make it seem chaotic. It makes it seem like nokunale order and the system and everything that was happening. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, definitely. I look at it and I'm inspired for a 37-year-old to have done so much with your life. Give us a background. Who is Ayanda Allie? Where are you from? Where are you from? Soweto?
Dobsonville, Soweto. Proudly so.
Okay.
And I think it's what shaped me. It's what made me who I am. I always say, that there are things you learn from growing up in Gaisi that you really can't learn anywhere else.
Yes.
You learn to be resilient. You learn to adapt. You learn to be resourceful.
Yes.
You learn to fit into any situation because from your house to the stop sign, you've met a myriad of different people. Guno koko teng sama kipkipi,
Yes.
gune pantsula, gune criminal also in the corner in the mix there. They're your friends that are there. Guna lo puto sira so seven.
There's a hot man in there.
Hot man in the air. And so you having to relate to all those people and greet and get to know them shapes you. And by the time you leave the township and go to the world, you have become a person who can apply themselves across the spectrum, right? And so I think that's what the township gave me. It gave me that you know, I'm gonna get up but also then straddling between the township and the suburbs, West Rand, you know, your Constantia Kloof, your Allen's Neck, where I went to
your
school,
Roodepoort.
your Roodepoort, you know, that then gives you an eye into the other side, right?
Of South Africa.
The leafy, lush green gardens where you see go to Norman.
Hey, man.
See now, dusty streets of Soweto. There's something that's amiss.
There is life out here.
There's life also that's different out there. And you get to see that it exposes you to also the discrimination. It shows you systemic violence and injustice, you know, to say there are those that are boxed up in this place while others have got huge yards, you know, where you can extend and do all sorts of things. But it shows you the best of both worlds and the worst of both worlds.
True.
And gives you an idea of what could work if we take the positives from both and try and build a better South Africa. So, I mean, as a teenager, you don't know those words. You're just growing up. You're just like, this
driven
is what
by
it is.
passion.
Driven by passion. But at the back of your mind, there's always that thing that says, I mean, wrong, you know, that we collectively as a people, as a society need to then address. When you grow up and you learn, you know, the big vocabulary and the pompous words and all of that, you then define it as inequity or inequality.
What was the new word now? What's the word today?
I don't know what that trend is on social media, so if you get it, please explain it to me. But yes, it's so demure or whatever. So you get to put a label on those things, and then you see, go to, okay, this is it's a condition, it's a social conditioning that needs to be disrupted, that needs you to actively undo what is you know set in motion and the status quo.
And I think also unlearning also at some point, unlearning certain things that you may thought that were just normal, but you realize that no, actually this is not normal.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna say, for most girls in Soweto, right, it's either you go to school, you get a job. The idea of studying a youth center, an idea of being into the media space, being such a dreamer. What would you say inspired you as a woman? Which woman would you say inspired you to start looking at Ayanda just beyond the walls of Soweto?
I think it's my mom. My mom was a qualified nurse, but before she became a nurse, she was an actress.
Sure.
She used to act in those Bophelo ke Semphego vibes, you know.
Okay. Home cooking.
She had a cameo role with Lucky Dube in his Liquor Slave song. So that was my mom and my sister. She always pushed the envelope of what she could do and what society told her she could do.
Yes.
I was born in 1986, and for a woman to be driving, a black woman to be driving in 1986 was very taboo.
Wow.
And she told herself, I'm going to drive, I'm going to get a license. And when she was in labor with me, my dad wasn't home because he was at work. She took her luggage and all the bags that she needed, put them in the car, and she drove herself to Baragwanath Hospital. Right?
What?
That
In
was
labor?
crazy, I know. And she drove herself to Baragwanath Hospital, and this was the kind of woman she was.
Wow.
She always asked why not. You know, if they say women don't do this, and she'd ask why not. Women don't stay here, and she'd ask why not. Even taking us to your former multiracial schools, she was among the first in the community to say, "Abantwana bam bazofunda nabelungu." And when they asked her, no, it's okay, they can study here. She says, no, why must they stay here? Why not? Isikolo sabelungu, you know. And so she always was curious about life. She always pushed the envelope. And I think that's a trait that I admire greatly about her. Even after she went and became a nurse and she decided, I actually don't like this and I'm going to be a housewife. And she stayed as a housewife. We always say she was a housewife that was never at home because she was a philanthropist of note, just without the organization or the title. But whenever there'd be groceries in the house and you're like, ooh, there's cornflakes, there's what. You blink and the cornflakes are gone. Mom, where are the cornflakes? Unomthandazo down the road. Nkosi yami. Akawazi nokwazi ama-cornflakes. So you just needed to help her out. That was the kind of woman she was. She would cook and cook not just for the family, take food and put it in the boot of her car and decide she's going to drive around. And whenever there's a beggar that she saw, she would give that person food. So she didn't have the NGO. Woman. Absolutely. She didn't have an NGO or even a title, but the function was more important than the position for her. So she didn't need a position of provincial legislature member or a position of news anchor, etc., or even
to get a funding or something.
No, the function was what mattered to her, and she fulfilled it to the T. And that's why she was able to raise 4 formidable girls. I mean, I'm the third of 4 girls.
Wow, okay.
Powerhouses.
No boys.
All of us, no boys. But we I like to say are better than 10 boys that she would have had, because my sisters and I are all the same. If you look at me, you've seen them.
There's more.
You've seen them, there's more, you know. And all of us in the humanities, ironically. So when you say what inspired us, I like to think it's her. My sister's a psychologist. The other sister's a teacher. Myself, I'm in communications and politics. My other sister is in healing, in the healing space. All of us dealing with people, loving humanity, serving. So she multiplied.
I'm going to go to this one. You joined then, I think, a media industry. You jump in, you're on TV, you're on a 702, you're on Power FM. When did it start?
It started after I ran away from maths at school. I ran away from maths. I was just like, I'm not coming. Adizi. I want to be creative. I want to communicate. I studied communication science. And as part of one of the electives, we needed to do some community work in a broadcast space so we can have some credits for school.
Perfect.
I volunteered at a Christian community radio station called Rainbow FM.
Oh.
Went to Rainbow. I was like, hi, do you guys need anything, tea, whatever? I just need you to fill out this form and say I've served for 40 hours. So, And I remember one of the gentlemen there said, can you read a news script? I said, well, if it's English, I can read it, He says, okay, you will read the news.
Wow.
And that's how I became a news anchor. I sat there and I read, the news was reading me a little bit because I was holding that phone like that. Scary. But eventually I got it and I loved it. And I did news anchoring for a while. That's when I went to 702, went to different news outlets, went to ENCA at that time as well, went to SABC Morning Live as a news anchor, and then gained some confidence to say, no, I can produce as well and present, but I can do this thing, Got a couple of TV shows, hosting television shows, hosting radio shows.
Kasi as well.
Kasi was in the mix. Kizaga was in the mix. And that gave me a little bit more opportunity to to lend my voice, because as a news anchor, you're reading a script. But when you're hosting, your personality comes out.
Yes.
And I had a lot to say. As you
Definitely,
can tell.
I can
as
tell.
You can tell. I had a lot to get off my chest. But also, I had a lot to say about the structure and the systems and where we were as a country. And I knew that government would be one of the best outlets for me to do that. So it was never at the, completely out of the picture. It was just a question of when and how.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense, because then one would think, because usually we know that if you are a spokesperson of a comrade, maybe you are a full member, card-carrying member of the ANC, and you were deployed to say, no, when you are good, you would serve under Fikile's office as a transport minister. Was that the case? Were you a member of the ANC at the time when you became a spokesperson of transport?
I always tell people, when it was my turn. Whoever got the tender for the card ate the money.
Okay.
They ate the money for the card.
So
because I never had a card.
Your membership was not in good standing.
I could not be a card-carrying member, because whoever got the tender for the cards ate the money. Right? Yeah. So my aunt is a staunch member of the ANC. I think Dola Omar region, if memory serves me correct, and she's been wanting to recruit me for years. And finally I said, okay, for the sake of Oliver Tambo,
Mandela, the legacy of our people,
the
liberation,
we're going to fix from within.
Leadership.
You fill out the form, and I can't remember how much you paid.
That
was something like that. That was the first and the last time I interacted and interfaced with ANC as a structure.
Okay.
Never went to any branch meetings, never voted.
So you never had a branch?
Never had a branch. Even a branch.
You don't have credentials,
me, Lord.
You don't have credentials.
Mercy, Jesus. Okay. And so I went on with my life after that, did broadcasting still, but still had a burning passion for this country and a desire to see it work. And I got called by one of the minister's advisors, who then said, look, we see the work that you're doing on the ground, and kudos to them, because I think they had tried the approach of meritocracy. We see your qualifications. We see the advocacy that you've done. We see, your background, and we think that you could be able to serve in this capacity as minister for the spokesperson for the minister, I should say, because then you're the go-between, right? Between what the minister would like to say to the populace and what the citizenry would like to convey to the minister. And we think that you'd be able to do that. Loved it. Loved it. Learned a heck of a lot. Grew in leaps and bounds. I was stretched beyond what I understood, because I'd only known how to speak about government from the outside in, right?
Yes, now you are government.
Now I'm government. Now I am them. You know when you say
where's the trains?
Yes. Now I'm going to say where the trains are, what's happening with e-tolls, why there's taxi violence, all those things.
Yes.
And so you learn a certain level of decorum. You learn negotiating between stakeholders. You learn what's going wrong with the system. You learn what's right about it. You then also develop an opinion of if you were given the chance, what you would do better, right? And I think that for me was critical.
A wake-up call.
Oh, man.
To say, I can do better here.
Lana.
If it was me.
You know what I mean? And after 2 years, I realized that it was time for me to go, because I had felt for myself that I was no longer providing the solutions that I thought I would in this position, and that I felt for myself that if I don't have an opportunity to say what's on my mind, I could soon become part of the problem instead of the solution that I want to bring. Because as a spokesperson, you don't speak for yourself.
You speak for the department.
You speak for the department. And in this case, I spoke for the minister.
Yes.
And your opinion doesn't count. It doesn't matter.
Do your job.
Yeah, you just do your job to the best of your ability. And if you feel that you're no longer to be in that position, it's better you vacate and allow someone else who can serve in that manner to do so. And so when I left, I actually didn't even want to leave and join politics. You mentioned the music album. I left and I said, I have a lot to get off my chest.
Hit the studio.
Let's hit the studio. Let's drop We the People. Let's tell them about Marikana. Let's tell them about gender-based violence. Let's tell them about all these things that you really want to get off your chest. Corruption. Let's tell them about, malfeasance.
You wanted to just to offload.
Guys,
give me the microphone. Yeah.
That's also when I wrote my book about activism active citizenry and how we ought not to leave our, agency and authority to politicians, that we ought to take a stand. So I wrote my book during that time. I released my album during that time. I completed a master's degree during that time.
Sure.
And that was my release.
Because then one would ask a question. As a woman who has grown over the years in different spaces and you got to be in the corridors of power, do you think that in terms of empowering women as a country, have we done enough? Or do you think we just put women there as tokens or just formalities? Or do you think they really do have a voice and we have really walked, we have really moved, we have progressed in terms of empowering women and actually making their voice being heard?
I think we have done something. To say nothing's been done in the democratic dispensation to empower women would be a lie.
True.
Because you look at parliament and you see just how much gender representation there is for women. It's commendable. I think it's among the best in the world.
True.
You look at our public protector, female. Last 3 have been female. You look at our auditor general, who I think is fabulous, by the way. Can I just say, I just think she's awesome. I think she's awesome. You look at all the different spaces that have been open for women, and you can't help but commend the strides that have been made, but also stress the fact that there are few and far in between of those women who make it to the upper echelons of power with the authority that comes with the job in South Africa. Because at times you have women occupy these positions doing the bidding of men, or they are in these positions, but they're not been given the necessary support that they need to be able to show up as the best version of themselves in those positions. And that's why I think we have done something, but a lot more needs to be done. And a lot more needs to be done for the ordinary woman, if I can put in inverted commas, for lack of a better word. For women who are looking to climb the corporate ladder or looking to occupy leadership positions in civil society, or women who are heading up their homes, or women who are occupying different sectors. We need to create an environment that's conducive for women leaders. And that means you need to take into mind everything that comes with being a woman. If you say we want more women CEOs, whether in banking, wherever, we want more women. You have to be able to then say, can we then have daycares in the office? Because the price of being a CEO as a woman often means you're not able to be a mother at home. And you are torn between that to the point where women will climb to a certain level. And if you feel lonely and you settle down and get married and have kids, that's the end of your career. But if we're then saying we want women to be able to show up as their best and be CEOs, you need to have those in place where you say we'll have a daycare from 0 to 5 or just before a child goes to grade R. So the mom is able to come with the child to work, drop the child at daycare downstairs and boss it up upstairs as the CEO. Because me being here at the moment,
your kids somewhere.
I just to get up this morning have to make sure that 4 kids are woken up in the morning at 5, they've dressed, they've eaten, they've all gone to school. I've got boys, guys. Mom, there's a match. Mom, there's this, there's that, there's that. So you have to contend with that at the back of your mind. And you then have a constituency because you're a public representative. And those calls coming in, we need you, guy. There's a fire, Bafana ba rumela WhatsApp. And then you also have to be able to read up and stay abreast of developments, etc., because you are going to be judged on par with your male counterparts. But not knowing that when you enter the space on a deficit because your energy has already been depleted the whole morning. And when they're fresh, they've got their lunch packed for them by my darling, and everything like that. By the time they arrive and it's 9 o'clock for them and 9 o'clock for you, the battle that you've had to face to arrive there at 9 o'clock, I'm not even going to talk about the hair and makeup and the suit and all of that because that's a whole entire interview. When you smell nice, you're there. So for you to show up at 9 o'clock at your best and for me to show up at 9 o'clock at my best, two different conversations.
True.
Two different conversations.
I was coming to that part to say in terms of family, because I think usually what we have seen is that a lot of women who go into who are career driven, who are passionate about, most of them tend to be single mothers, and most of them tend to, somebody will even say, I don't want kids, I'm pursuing my career. And how does that even affect the family values we have? How does that affect the whole nuclear family setup, of raising a woman being the nurturer of the house, taking care of the family? As a woman who is in power, who is in government, who is in leadership, and you have a family, you are married, how does it affect your home?
I think it does affect your home because women are being made to choose. If you either want the career or you want the family.
True.
And that is because it's still lip service to say women empowerment, to say we want women in leadership. It's still lip service. Because if you say you want women in leadership, create an environment that's conducive towards women being leadership. So raise the next generation of boys and girls to understand the duality of the roles that we have in the house, to say, if you're supporting the woman, how do we make sure that the entire ecosystem supports, from the workplace to the hubby, to the in-laws, to the extended families, that the support is given for the woman to not have to choose. So I have a village. I have an entire village that enables me to be the Ayanda that I am. I have my sisters who will help on days when I'm like, yo, ke go Cliff Central. Yo, Bafana, yo, interview is still on. Ke kopa unglatele so and so. And they'll show up for me.
Yes.
And then I'll be able to say to my fiancé, because we are on the way to marriage.
Oh, okay,
and I'll say
okay.
to the, hey, yes,
another invoice.
So then I'll be able to say to him, oh babe, I'm coming home late at such and such a time. Can we allow for so and so to cook? Not have someone to say, Nike GD Jota auntie.
Oh,
you know? So I was
yes.
GD Jota auntie, but I'm trying to be an interview, come with the kids, etc. So if we're really saying we want to support women in leadership roles and women in politics in particular, then we need an ecosystem that walks the talk and doesn't just say give you lip service, right? So I have that entire village. I'll have my sisters that come to the fore. I'll have fiance also say, no, I've got your back when it comes to this. I'll have colleagues in a political party like Build One South Africa who are able to say, and my team is made up of 3 men, 1 woman. So there's 2 of us, there's 5 of us, and the 2 of us are women. And the guys who are there will not say, no, she's a woman, we're not going to support her, we're not going to raise the phone calls. No, they show up and they see you as a human being first and foremost.
Yes.
And they serve in that manner. And I think I really appreciate that. And if you look at our political party, of the 3 leaders who are public representatives, 2 in parliament and 1 at the legislature, 2 of us are women. So Musi's outnumbered. So he's outnumbered.
I did imagine. And he's surrounded by this powerful woman.
Exactly. Powerful, competent, if I do say so myself, women. And so you have a party that walks the talk, that then understands where you say, hey,
yes.
I can't be at such and such. Can one of my team members from the provincial legislature that I spoke about, who are gentlemen, community meeting, and they'll understand,
Yes.
as opposed to other people will say, no, do you want this position or do you want to be at home with your children?
Yeah, you must choose.
Between the 2. So because there's an ecosystem that supports the Ayanda that I can be, then you can see me come out and say what I need to say to the president without a fear or, I'll be left stranded. There's that backup. So I feel society, it's okay for us to have the laws. It's okay for us to have women in parliament. It's okay for us to have all those things. But if we truly say we want to see more women in leadership, the entire ecosystem must rise to support that woman in leadership.
And I think you are right to say at the core of it, it's about a support structure where you empower women and you support them. Don't just give them positions or hand them to dry, if that's the way to use. I'm going to come to the part that has been, we have seen a lot of young girls committing suicide. We have seen a lot of young girls dealing with mental health issues. And I'm sure it must be draining to be raising your kids in politics, in these sections. How do you keep going? How do you survive the pressures of the 21st century?
Sure. It goes back to ancient values, ancient beliefs. I'm glad you speak about the 21st century. And I want to take it right back. Without my faith, I am nothing.
Hallelujah.
Without my belief in Christ Jesus, I am nothing. There's that song that says, I will just come like it gets that deep because Because you have to believe that there is something that is beyond you that carries you.
Purpose.
There is that purpose, and that you have been foreknown and predestined and called and appointed and anointed to be
And
where you
set
sit
apart.
and set apart to do
Hallelujah.
what you do. Because if you think that you're just living for the sake of being alive and consuming air, very quickly you'll be depleted in terms of purpose. When the waves come and the issues of life come and the trolls on social media, they come and the comrades come and they tell you the vicissitudes of life will leave you discombobulated.
Unless you are grounded.
Unless you're grounded in something that gives you a higher purpose.
True.
In something that says, this thing that you're doing now has been said about you even before you were in your mother's womb. That sense of purpose is an anchor for my soul. That sense of purpose reminds me of my why every day.
Yes.
When I'm tired, when I'm beat up, when I'm frustrated, when there are issues, that keeps me going.
This too shall pass.
And that helps with the mental health aspect as well. And I think it's so important that you speak about it, because it's something that is unsaid.
Yes.
If you read, even in the scriptures, you'll see Elijah, the prophets of Baal, high moments, the state of the nation address for you. So when you will go out there, go state of the nation, mountaintop experience. And then it tells us that immediately after he dealt with the prophets of Baal, one woman in Jezebel, like, I'll deal with you. And he went into a depressive state that was even suicidal. Where he said, I don't even want to live anymore. I'm done. I'm good.
Yes, like, take me now.
Take me now. And people don't realize that because you're human and you carry this treasure in earthen vessels, you can go and do something that is seen as, etc. But you then have to go somewhere then where you get to a place where you're like, okay, Lord, feed me again.
The sacred place.
Yeah, sacred place, the quiet place where you now sit with them and you say, Asbonisane, Lord, where can I go? But what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Where do I improve? Fill me up again. Let me rest. Let me be still.
And it keeps you humble.
And it keeps you humble. So we see Elijah running away and being fed by ravens and the like. And for us to be able to keep our mental health in the midst of everything that is happening in politics, where they will come for you because you're a woman. Yeah, we're not robala le mang mang. Yeah, we're not, you're a this, you're a that, you're a that. Because opposition will come because of the word, because of what you said and what God is doing in your life. So you have to find that quiet place. You have to pull back even after the midst of that. And I remember people thinking, right on this, when I know you told Ramaphosa every week, no. Now I pull back. And I ground myself again, and I remind myself, okay, Lord, there's a why that we're working towards. Where do we go now? Is this a season where we keep quiet? What do we do? And that's why you'll see even throughout the campaign, there'll be high moments, and then you pull back. Then you regroup. Then, Lord, you re-strategize. You feed your soul as well. Feed your soul. You rest, prayer, all those things. Then when you come back as the best version of who you are as well. So for your mental health, don't be afraid to pull back.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to have those moments of quietness where you rest and replenish and re-strategize. Okay, Lord, that was good. High five. I know.
We did it.
Now we did the thing. Now, refill me. What's the new word? What is it that you're saying now? Remind me, where are we going with this?
Yes.
And from that place of wholeness and peace, I can say, so fresh again. Then you can say, all right, now who are we taking on? Oh, Panyaza, Gauteng Provincial Legislature.
One by one.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
But this is the thing. Your video at Inzwalo from Parliament, that was amazing. But also I was like, comrades are coming for you. Social media probably might have been buzzing that night. How did it go? How did you afterwards? How was the feedback? Was it mostly good, mostly bad? And how did you deal with it?
I always tell people, Hore, number one, never in my wildest dream did I ever think that thing would be that big. Ever. ENCA had a watch party, which I think was the first time they did it, where they could then ask for people who are watching from different parties and civil society group to comment on what President had said.
Yes.
Now, I was going to send my two colleagues, Musi and Nobuntu, to go to that thing. They were in Cape Town. For the State of the Nation address, naturally. I was in Gauteng. They said, no, please cover it because you're in Gauteng. Sharp, no problem. I'm there. Ibile, I wanted to speak first because I'll be honest, I wanted to eat. So I wanted to relax and eat and
Finish
enjoy the
quickly.
food. So I wanted to speak first because they took a round of questions first before the president spoke, and then you can tell them what you expect.
Yes.
Then they took rounds afterwards to say, what did you think? So I was like, and then what I expect. Then for the rest of the night, I can chill, I can eat,
And be
I can
relaxed.
be
And
merry,
take photos.
and take photos and be great. So when they didn't come to me at first, I was like, now I'm not going to be able to eat. I know what I'm like before anything public. I can't eat. You'll know even when you do
Yes.
facilitation
True.
or emceeing, or you're not settled until the job is done. I'm like, no, I can't eat. I can't even enjoy any glass of or whatever.
Because you are
I'll be
anxious. You
focused.
just wanna-
Yes, and I really need to pay attention now because I must comment. So the whole time I'm listening, and I Jeremiah, it was like a fire shot up in your bones.
Wa kutlega.
Yo, I was like,
Ga te rong kutlwa. Hey man. Hey man.
So by the time they came to me, and I think my friends who were watching said to me, like, your face is telling us or you're not impressed. So they would cut to us, Kimo. So he keeps coming. And I think what really upset me the most is I felt you're treating us like children. You're taking us for granted. You're not being honest. You're speaking about the highlight, which are there, by the way.
Yes.
So if you ask for fee-free schools, they are there. Bana baja dikolong, all those things are happening, but it's not the truth. It's not the truth.
Yes.
So I think that's what that indignation. So by the time they came to me, like I was ready, and I just wanted to get out what was within me.
Offload.
So I can go back to what I need to do, chill and relax. So after I spoke, I felt so much better. I felt so much better.
Wow.
Then I sat down. Only when I walked to my car, because the phone I get it silent and what, I tried to face the broadcast reps. When I walked to the car, I told the message, what did you just do? What did you? I got phone calls from friends overseas, my cousin overseas, my sisters, everybody. She was even saying, Orkiko, please pack your bags. Please come here. Get on the first flight. Come here because I'm getting
Ayanda.
people who were in Cape Town, but there was the State of the Nation address. Then
That
there
was
was
Ayanda.
the State of the Nation address. But what I said, and in just to close this chapter, what I said was not new, which is why I didn't expect such an apple. It was not new, and it was not unique. In perspective.
Yes.
There are millions of people who felt the same way, who thought the same things, and who had probably also said it. It was just to have someone consolidated and say it at the right time,
At the right moment.
at the right place, at the right moment, with the right, I guess, everything. So really, it was a God thing. Everything just aligned.
You summed up everyone's views.
Everyone's views live on television right after this man had spoken. Libona, they are frustrated, they're angry.
You spoke for the whole country.
I spoke for the whole country, and they were just like, what she said.
Exactly that.
That. So it was not, and the reason why I didn't see it coming is because, like I said, it was not a unique perspective. It was not new. Just everything had aligned to make it the voice that was needed at that point.
Yes.
And it forever changed my political trajectory. I think, it solidified that Ayanda's in politics now.
Yeah, she's here.
She's here.
She has arrived now.
Yeah, and I thank God for that.
No, I think when we looked at it, we were like, who is this strong, vocal woman? I mean, people have known you as this, celebrity more TV, but yeah, man, you came on that day and the country was like, hey, man, there is more to be seen here.
Sure.
And I'm sure I was one of those who were like, I'm waiting for part 2.
Yeah, people are like, get more.
Season 2, where is it coming? No, but I'm gonna go into this, my sister. There has been a culture, not even a culture, I think it's it worries me where we see a lot of women today. I think it's popular on TikTok and Twitter and all of that. Something called the BBLs, women prioritizing more of how they look and less of their character, where the slay queen thing has become a thing. An iPhone with a what do you call that?
Frontal,
frontal and whatever. And I'm worried is it not in a way disempowering women to a point where I think to some men, they start to see them as just sexual objects that they can just reward with flashy lifestyle. Does it not self-defeat the purpose of empowering women and ensuring that we have mothers tomorrow, we have sisters tomorrow, we have grandmothers tomorrow, who are then able to nurture and grow the future generations going forward?
Yeah. Sure. It's actually not a simple scenario that you've painted out, because I firstly want to acknowledge the agency of women, even if they're young women, to do with their bodies as they like in terms of their constitutional right. So I never want to say to women, do this, do that, because I don't want to impose on that. If you're wearing a frontal, if you're enlarging whatever you enlarge, the Constitution says you are permitted to do
that. It's your
as
body.
you will. It is your body. So I don't want to infringe on that, and I don't want to put a moral stamp of
ground.
approval or disapproval on what they do. So that's the first part.
Yes.
The second part is I do see it as an economic indicator as well. I do see it as a sign of power dynamics, in that we as women still compete for the attention of men, because we understand that the upward trajectory of our lives is still very much heavily dependent on how men view us. And if I'm going to get out of my two-room house in Naledi, where I live with my grandmother, it's going to happen through a man. And for that man to see my value, I'm going to have to be as light as it can get in terms of complexion. I'm going to have the weave and the buttocks and everything that comes with it. So it is a sign of where we are at the moment. It's also a sign of our socialization and enculturation, in that the value that we bring as women is still very much attached to how we look and how we present ourselves to the world. There's a song, or something like
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's a commodity, and I say this as a
yellow bone.
and also fully conscious of the privilege that comes with that. I'll never deny and say, no, we're the same, we're equal. Yes, definitely, we're the same, we're equal in value. But the society in which we live has made it so that it places value on the lighter you are, the bigger your bum, and the more fluent you are in English, right? That's the currency. The currency goes up based on that. And women then realize that it's easier and quicker for me to advance and get ahead in life if I lean more on that than if I go and do the hard work of trying
education,
to building exactly, and going to corporate, etc. So it is a sign of the times that we're living in. And unfortunately, as you do say, it does corrode our value. It does corrode our somebodyness, as Dr. Martin Luther King would say, because the extent to which we will go to try and progress in life is damaging both to ourselves, to our health as well. I don't know the medical things, what it does to your body, but I don't think it's a good thing, you know, for you to constantly do that. I heard from a medical professional who said, whatever you take from one part of the body to put to another part, or foreign agents, etc., it does bring about chemical imbalances in your mind, etc. It does damage us. It does also have an impact even on the young men, for example, because you have young girls who are hypersexualized. We've got this, we've got the boobs. We're dating older men who take advantage of us. The young boys are now seeing this. They get rage and anger, etc. They no longer can interact with their age mates, so they go for younger girls because the older men are dating their girlfriends. You know what I mean? And then when they get destroyed by the older men and they contract HIV and the like, which we know is a fact that there's a higher rate of HIV infection among adolescent teenage girls in sub-Saharan Africa. It's a fact. Because they get it from the men, and then when they get disappointed in those relationships, the wives of those men then get HIV at that level. These young girls get HIV at that level, and all manner of STIs. They then, when they're no longer satisfied, and the young boys who were too young for them then are now growing. They're living. Now when we get to our 30s, because our 20s were wasted with the older men. Now then there's that cross infection, and the younger men now that we've destroyed, Their
Sure.
self-image, because when we were 20, and so
And now they don't trust love anymore.
they don't trust love
anything.
anymore. They become narcissistic. They become angry at women. They will show you. That's why men are the prize this day. That's not
Yes.
scriptural. You know, the Bible will tell us that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and
Amen.
obtains favor with the Lord.
Yes.
But these days, it's he who finds a man finds a good thing.
Because we are told even Malajede, but
Yeah.
you don't just say hi, Aksa Arabi,
Yeah,
you leave her.
You leave her. They no longer chase. They no longer pursue. We know our value, our worth. But we damage them as
Sure.
teenagers because
Can't give me nothing.
Exactly. So we've torn apart the fabric of our society. We've destroyed it, and the BBLs and all of those are just a manifestation of what was broken a long time ago. So they then in their 30s with their polos, etc., do what? They recreate what they saw. They will go for Banabaskolo and all those things.
Sure.
Ditakatsa Rona now in our 30s and our 40s. And there are no good men left anymore. There are no good men.
I love my son. My man.
The head of the house is my son. Head of the house is my son. You know.
Yeah,
So our society really, really is broken. We have fatherlessness like you can't believe.
True.
There are other people from outside countries who say that we've never seen anything like this before in our lives. We don't have a phenomenon where umitisa umuntu and they get pregnant and nobody knows who the dad is. We just don't have that thing. Even if you're not together with the guy, the families will know this is our child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Everyone. And it's a symptom of something that broke a long time
You
ago.
know, I remember earlier this year, maybe this country, they say it's controversial. I went to Jerusalem earlier this year in Israel. And when I was in Israel, I met this girl by the bar. So she's probably in her 20s, 27, 26. I'm like, hey, how are you? She's like, I'm good. Your name? Something Hebrew.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do you have any kids? She's like, no, I'm not married. I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I know the married part, but do you have kids?
Do you have kids? Yeah. She's like, no, I can't have kids unless I'm married. And I was like, flip. And this is exactly what we used to have back in the day. Yeah. I think if you go and report on one, then already there's a process towards marriage. Maybe it won't be lobola at the time, but then they already set the tone. Once you've made the child, you start preparing for lobola. You start preparing to have a family. Do you think somehow, I don't know, how did we lose this? How did we lose this part of family value where we take the responsibility as both families, we raise their child and we encourage marriage to be their thing? Because lately marriage has been seen as if get wrong. Once you get married, it's uncool. You divorce in 2 months. It won't. It
will end in tears.
It will end in tears. And the question then becomes to say, how did we lose this value system? Because this is what sustained us, and it's not foreign to us. But slowly but surely, as the black race, we are moving or drifting away from this. Is it because of a symptom, as you said? Are we broken people, raised by broken people, and probably going to raise broken generations afterwards?
So, you're quite right in that it is more common to see single parents and in majority single women raising children than a mother and a father.
Yes.
Raising their children in this society.
True.
It's more common to say, oh, unalingwana outside of marriage than kinalingwana within the marriage. Exactly. And that was created by a number of factors and is being exacerbated by some. So the migrant labor system, if we look in South Africa's context of you living in the Bantustans and needing to come and find work in the mines of Johannesburg, etc., and leaving a family there and going to live in the hostels somewhere this side and starting your own little pseudo family this side, having kids here, having kids that side as well, created a system where we didn't see the fathers. What happened to the women then? You have to be a Mbogoto. You have to stand up. You're strong. Women are now taking leadership. We no longer know what it means to submit in the godly sense, and submission not meaning oppression, but submission meaning understanding that there are roles here where we play on our strengths to be able to progress the family. So you're now having women who are hyper independent, and we have to be, because what else are we going to do? Where the husbands? What must happen? So we are hyper independent, where if a man comes says one and you just say two, what you gonna do, But that's also a sign, because the men also then learn, or no, we must also then be softy. We must do this, we must do that, to acclimatize with that. So what started out as a migrant labor system and pseudo families everywhere and broken homes and women who've had to be mbogotos. Now, in this day and age, it's become something that's normalized and is being further exacerbated by no sense of family values, where you're saying a covenant is sacred. If I marry you and only you. Right? And there's no side chick in Yatsi. Now we tip each other. Side chick, it's 2024. Let's come forward, guys. Don't want to show yourselves, etc. There's side chick protocol.
Yes.
On how you behave as a side chick and how what you don't do, etc. Leading wife, woman to
they'll
woman.
actually post about it to
They'll
say,
post about it.
I like that smell when he just come from home,
Exactly.
honka baby powder in the car.
Exactly.
And you can tell the man is married. They'll be telling you that, no, I gotta see my wife. Don't call. I will call you. And I'm like, but
It's
guys,
a norm now.
have we really decreased marriage to mere relationships? People now they divorce because I'm no longer happy, or he doesn't give me sex anymore. Like the things that we have laid on as deal breakers for relationships, and how we have normalized cheating. And the question becomes, why is it that way? Maybe it is because, someone said, we are a broken nation. Our history is not great. We do need to get a point of healing along the way.
It's a trauma response. It's a trauma response because you also see it in African Americans. So what we talk about here,
It's
about
also rife that
fatherlessness,
side.
it's rife that side. Generations after generations of slavery, identity loss, no longer having values of Ubuntu. We now just say Ubuntu as a word. Let's be honest.
It's been a catchy word.
It's been a catchy word. Let's be honest. Right from the upper echelons of power, even when we got our freedom in 1994, what did we do with that freedom? We started living lives that are flashy. We started becoming the oppressor. We have started doing what we lack is the khaki shorts and the khaki top and the long socks. But we are behaving in the same way as we used to accuse the Boers of the day of doing to us. What do we do when there's a road to be built? We divide the tender even before one single brick has been laid.
Sure.
We know full well that people are struggling, people are suffering, but you eat the children's bread. I always say that. It's like lo malume lo otagwayo angena vuli fridge and all those things without a care in the world. That's what our leaders are doing.
True.
Every time we uncover corruption, the cost of corruption is the child that is on the street who's not able to eat anything.
Yes.
So in our society, that's what we've done. The values that we continue to corrode. Where do we see the most underage sex and blessy phenomenon? Our leaders.
Sure.
They show us that to be successful, you have to have the most amount of yellow bones that are there, the flashiest car, the flashiest watch.
Someone
all
will
those
even
things.
wear 100,000.
Yes, they show us. That's what we value as a people. So, how do you what you aspire towards? Even when you say government, is not so that I can serve; it's so I can eat. So we are the ones who are showing people, or this is who we are as South Africa. So when they start showing us back in the way that they are now taking the what is this called, the extortion, these gangs where they go there and say, give me money, protection fees and all of those things. It's what our government is doing.
They've enabled it.
They've enabled it because they displayed it. I dare you to go to a January 8th. I dare you to go. I've been to several times.
I've been as well, yes. And you are right.
Tell you, Missy leadership.
And these are young girls.
Leadership. The BBLs you talk of, the weaves, etc. I'm saying it without a care in the world. It's the truth. It's fact. I've been to the January 8th. Leadership that is married at times.
Yeah.
Leadership that is in a position, whether you're a minister or MEC, etc. They are waiting, lining to sleep with the leadership. And then in the speech, in the very same January 8th, we'll be saying, we need to make sure
empower the youth.
We empower the youth, protect the girl child, make sure we eliminate mother to child transmission of
girl is in the
HIV.
hotel.
The girl is watching you use a baby waka
in a
when they get
hotel.
here. Want of money, cash money, hard money in plastic bags waiting for the young girls. They're not going to go to school. They're not going to better their lives because they know that they eat from these people.
So the power that we fought for is what we are using now against our people.
It's a fact.
There was even a comrade who said, it's sad now, even the gentlemen who are always working around with a minister or a mayor, now they've also become groupies because they all want something from him. Hey, leadership, they want to get 2,000, they want to get 3,000. And it baffles me to say, do you think the problem is that we don't have leaders in the African continent, or do you think the leaders we have who actually have a generational plan, leaders that actually have a developmental plan, are mostly silenced, and it's only those who are led by patronage who takes over?
I think we're in a vicious cycle of abuse. We understand that for us to change as a nation, it's going to take a lot. And sometimes we're not willing to put in the work. So to dismantle the power, the grip of the African National Congress, is going to happen bit by bit, but it has to be some decisive action that is taken. We have to be intentional about it. We've seen great strides now in these elections.
True.
We have to continue with that appetite of wanting to pull them down. And by them, I don't only just speak about the power, I speak about what it represents.
Yes.
So anybody like them who wants to assume position, and we've now seen other political parties that were saying, yeah, bring down ANC, bring down ANC. They are within the ANC now. So anything that smells of corruption, anything that resembles abuse of power, anything that speaks about immorality and tearing apart the fabric of society needs to be dealt with. And we understand the cost is that I may not get that tender.
Yes.
The cost is I may not drive that BM. The cost is I may have to live in my house, in this very same humble house, etc. Because until somebody says no, it stops with us.
True.
It will continue. But those who are hangers on, who know what's happening in there, because school fees is
fridge is free. If fridge empty,
that's the thing, you know.
You are forced to compromise.
Exactly.
And
so
it's sad.
we have to stop. Somebody has to put an end to it. And also, Rona is the citizenry. The people have to be willing to get their hands dirty. I understand the cost of being in politics. I understand fully. Like, I'm not an idiot. I think people will think, oh, okay, limelight, etc. I know that they will come. I know on social media they will come for you. But I'm saying, look, you may come for me, but you can't come for what we have started as Build One South Africa. You deal with me, there will be 10,000 Ayandas who will emerge, even better, even stronger, even bigger than I am, to tell you guys the truth. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to set it off. We want to set into motion people who will say, it's okay, no, but it will stop here with us. You will no longer take advantage of our young girls.
True.
Yeah.
True. Because I think there's a part where a wise man once said, at some point, there's got to be a cause that you are willing to die for. Yeah. You know, if you want to overcome fear of being labeled as something, fear of being hated by people, then what is the use of it? I mean, like, if you want to be loved by everyone, sell ice cream, but don't take leadership. Ayanda Allie, I mean, it's been amazing having you in studio. I'm going to give you 2 minutes of fame. The camera is behind me. We are wrapping this series with you on a Friday morning. And I just want to speak to women in South Africa, inspire them, motivate them, or whatever you want to say to them. Yeah. You have your moment of fame. Start now. Shoot.
The clock is ticking. Tick, 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 tick. I just want to say there is something so phenomenal about being a woman. There's something so beautiful about our creativity, about our colors, about our vibe, about our that thing. Mm-hmm. And we ought never to lose that, because that is a gift that is given unto us to share with the world. There's also something that's inherently difficult and hard and painful about being a woman. I mean, we see it even in how children are conceived. It takes two to tango. But us, because we then carry the manifestation of what we may have done with somebody else. We then carry the shame, we carry the burden and all of that. But the beautiful parts and the flamboyance of being a woman and the hardship can work together for the good of the society, because it makes you a solution seeker. It makes you someone on a plan. It makes you someone who's able to change things. Use that power. Use the good and the bad to make a difference. I want to speak to those predominantly who have an interest in shaping our country. We have elections coming up in 2026. Please position yourself to be the change in your community. You may have never been part of politics. That's exactly why you need to be in politics, because you understand there's a stop sign that needs to be put so that our kids are not bumped by cars. You understand that the fees of electricity are too high because you're the one who pays. So you need to agitate for that. You are the one who faces the biggest challenges and who bears unequally the yoke of this society. Therefore, you are the one who has the answers of what we can do. Please consider getting into politics. Please consider taking a stand for your community. These elections that are coming up are so important. If not in politics and in civil society, that's where you want to go. Start that NGO, bring other women together, make a difference. If not in civil society and you're saying, I'm in corporate, make the difference where you are, and the ripple effect will be felt far and wide. And also, don't do it alone. Grab the hands of the nearest sister closest to you, and let's together build a better South Africa. Thank you so much. God bless you. I love you.
That's Ayanda Allie, the member of Gauteng Provincial Legislature under Build One South Africa, BOSA, led by Musi Maimane. You heard her. She's bold. She's courageous. This woman is a true Mbokoto. Stay tuned for more of her. Stay close to your screens. And you never know, she might just be our next president in the next couple of years. Other than that, this was Beyond the Ballot. I am Bafana Mudise. Proudly brought to you by a podcast party where great minds don't think alike. Ciao, ciao. See you next time.